Hello students, welcome to achievers.com. My name is Abhinav Mishra and today we'll talk about certain personal interview tips which a student has to go through in certain commerce colleges. So when we say personal interview, these interviews are generally conducted by top commerce colleges in India. Now these colleges are maybe IPM Indore, maybe Christ College, maybe Symbiosis or maybe BHU, that is Banaras Hindu University as well. So this interviews, the interview is the last step of the student selection into the colleges. So this interview is basically conducted by the top colleges just to eliminate the footfall that they receive. They receive higher footfall, so just to eliminate the student from the crowd, they conduct this interview. So this interview is actually among the toughest part which a student has to go through. So I would personally suggest students who are actually preparing for BHU, BCom or any other top colleges in India, so they should prepare for GD and interview particularly. So we'll start with, as you can say, this certain points I have written down for the students. So we'll just, these are the basic criteria actually which a student is expected to have in an interview, right? So the very first thing that a student before appearing in the interview should be judged. First thing is that students should judge themselves before appearing for interview, right? So these 10 points that I have written down for the students are like, a student should practice good non-verbal communication. Now the word non-verbal itself says your expressions, your body language, right? So the non-verbal implies that, say for instance, if you entered in the interview premises, right, you are being judged on the basis of how you stand, how you sit, how you interact, how you speak, how you listen, what is your body language, what is your eye contact with the interviewer, right? So a student should try and conduct mock interview for himself for the better performance, right? So first thing is that your body language matters, so you should practice non-verbal communication, right? Second is dress for the job or the company. Now when we say that students are appearing for college interview, particularly not an MBA college but this BB or BCom colleges, your dress code is not something which is affecting highly your marks, right? But still a professional students should be in formal dress, right? Because a commerce student is expected to be someone who is going to work in the corporates, right? So if you are going to work in the corporate, so you'll be judged on that basic criteria only. So you are expected to have the formal attire with the tie itself, right? Second is listen carefully before answering the question, right? You need to understand the question of the interview, right? In case it is possible that you have not understood the question. Say for instance, if I'll take an example, I myself has received an GD topic that was that what do you understand by capital punishment and how exactly will you explain it, right? So there were certain students who did not get the meaning of the capital punishment. So in case you did not understand certain term, right, you need to ask the interviewer, sir, what is the meaning of this term? I'm so sorry, I did not get your term, right? Or in case you have not understood the term, or if you don't want the interviewer to know that you have not understood the term, just skip the question and say sorry, that's all. So they'll understand that you have no idea about this knowledge. So it is important to accept that I have no knowledge about the this particular content instead of saying anything, right? So my point here is that you need to listen the words carefully, you need to listen the question here carefully before answering it, right? Now we have covered 1, 2, 3. Don't talk too much. Don't be so familiar that you already know the interview, right? So you need to say only what you are being asked, right? Don't say anything more than required, right? Number 5 is, yeah, as I said, don't be too familiar. This particularly implies that you are so desperate for that particular position. No, you are not required to show that you are so desperate for that particular position, even if it is in the college or it is in for particular job. No, you are not required to show it that you are desperate. You just have to say, you just have to show that you have the particular capability, not that you are desperate, right? If you have the capability, they're going to select you anyhow, right? So you're not required to be so familiar, right? You are required to be you are supposed to be a student who is smiling, right? You are supposed to be someone who is confident about their content, but you are not someone who is so desperate that particular job, right? So you need to be like calm, cool and confident, right? So don't these two important points are very important actually, that you are not required to talk too much, or you are not someone who is supposed to be too familiar, right? Now number 6 is use appropriate language. Now when we say language, it's not like that you are not supposed to insult someone. No, it is not like that you have to use an delicate language. No, it is not like that. When we say use appropriate language, it particularly implies that only reply in the language in which the question has been asked. Say for instance, if an interview has asked you a question in Hindi, so you are supposed to respond in Hindi only. So this is a positive point in interview. If an interviewer has asked you question in English, you are supposed to answer that question in English, right? So don't try to cross the interviewer. If interviewer has started your interview with an English language, that implies that they just wanted to understand whether what kind of knowledge or what position do you hold in English speaking, right? So if after starting for English, that particular interview starts speaking to you in Hindi, that implies that they are confident that yes, you know the language. Or in case sometime it is possible that a student himself or herself is not very much confident about their language. So no problem. I mean, just try, because you all know that what importance English holds in our economy, right? So because English is a worldwide accepted language, so yeah, every candidate is expected to have the understanding of English. Yeah, that is true, and that is universal true, right? Now, sometimes happens that students who are not confident about their English language just try and start with English, right? It is not something mandatory. There is not it is not an some law or some kind of rule. No, it's not like that. But yes, a student should try and start with English, and if after speaking say 3-4 sentences in English, you think that you are not confident even enough in replying back in English, you can definitely go to Hindi and in the language which you are comfortable. But the point that number 6 says is that you should only reply in the language in which question has been asked, right? So number 7 is, yeah, as I already said in 4th and 5th, don't appear desperate. Don't show that you are very much required, you are someone who is in very much need of this particular position, even if you are a student appearing for a college admission or for a job itself, right? So don't look so desperate. Don't react like, sir, that particular interview should understand like you are in some desperate need of that particular job. No, just show your confidence. Just show that yes, you are the right candidate which should be selected regardless of any excuses, right? Yeah. So number 7 has been covered. Now put gentle smile on face. Now this point shows your positivity. This point shows your confidence, right? Even if you are unable to answer any question, right, don't show it like that that you are nervous. No, if you are biting your nails, if your foot are shivering, if your hands are shivering, that implies that you are nervous, right? So just try and keep a gentle smile, sweet smile in your face, right? That shows your confidence, that you are confident even enough, and it is even if you are unable to answer any question, be ready for the next question. Don't be nervous for that, right? That's okay. That's not something which is only happening to you. So this actually happens with 90-95% of the population, right? So this is not possible that an interview and a student who is appearing for interview will answer 100% of the question. No, that is not possible, right? Now you need to respond instead of sitting idle, right? Even if you have been asked a question and if you don't know the answer of that particular question, right? So don't sit idle, right? But it is not expected that you'll say anything, right? If you've been asked the question on microeconomics and you'll start answering question of the macroeconomics, so that is not something is an expected out of a student. So my answer question point here is that don't sit idle. You need to respond, right? Even if you don't know the answer, say sorry, sir, I don't know the answer. That's okay. They'll switch to next question, right? So don't sit idle. Don't take your time. If you have been asked question, take your time. Take 5 to 10 seconds to understand the point, to try to get into the action again and to try to grasp that particular knowledge. But in case you find out that you don't know the answer, don't sit idle. Just simply say that I don't know the answer. They will switch to the next question. That is completely fine. This is not going to deduct any of your marks, right? Now the last and very important point here is that ask question. This particular point will show your interest in that particular field, right? If you are appearing for a college interview, or if you are appearing for any job interview as well, you need to ask questions relating to that particular field, right? Particular college or particular, industry, right? So this asking questions about that particular industry or particular field will show that how interested you are in that particular position, or this also shows that yes, you have the knowledge of certain industry, and this also increase your interaction with the employer. So I've already discussed now this point. I'll just repeat it once again, right? First is that you need to practice a good non-verbal communication, that is body language. Second is you need to dress for the particular profile, company or job, right? Third is that you need to listen carefully before answering a question. Fourth is you are not required to talk too much, just answer what have been asked. Number fifth is don't be too familiar, don't show that you are too desperate for the particular profile. Number six is use appropriate language, that is very important, the language in which the question has been asked, you are required to answer in that particular language, right? Now, number seventh is don't appear desperate, as I already discussed in the fourth one as well. Number 8 is put a gentle smile on your face. This is very important. This will show interviewer that how confident you are, right? Now, number 9th is that respond, don't sit idle. Even if you don't know the answer of the question, say simply, sir, I don't know the answer, I'm so sorry for that. That's completely fine. Number 10th and the very important is that you need to ask question before leaving that particular premises, right? So this is all about my first video. In the next video, I have decided a certain criteria for the students on the basis of which they are being judged. So we'll talk this in the next video. That's all for today. Thank you so much.